Morning. Thank you for joining us. We're grateful. Now, we want to talk about some critical issues. Foremostly, the former chair of the MPP for the Northern region, of course, lost, so that's why he's former. And Bugri Naabu appeared before a committee investigating the well-known infamous tape about a hatched plot by a senior police officer within the hierarchy of the Ghana Police Service to get the president to change the current IGP because he is not likely to ensure that the ruling party, the MPP, wins the next election. That leaked tape appeared in the public domain even before the Asin North by-election. Subsequently, he's been speaking or giving his witness statements to the committee. We'll get to that. And then towards the latter parts of this discussion, the president has launched the second phase of what the government calls, of course, it's one of its popular policies, planting for food and jobs. If you know how much has been designated or budgeted since 2017 for planting for food and jobs, you ask a critical question. Second phase, what is the impact of the first phase? We will want to look at some of these important issues. Now, let me just introduce our guest. I have the distinguished Director of Communications for the National Disaster Management Organization. He's a known educationist as well. He's an astute politician, communicates for the government of Nernard MOrnah and George Ayisi. I call him AKA Mr. Slangs. He's here. How are you?
Roland, why all these accolades? I smell some mischief, you know.
No, that's not.
And you are a brother and a friend.
Thank
so,
you.
Yeah, thank you.
I've known you even before the government came to power.
Yeah, thank you.
Sometimes I tell them, they think I'm your enemy, but it's not true.
No, we are brothers. We are brothers. And you're doing your job.
Thank you. I love you. And then also, Edem Agbanah in a word. Agbanah means that, okay, Edem Agbanah is a parliamentary candidate. No, it's okay. Edem Agbanah is a parliamentary candidate.
Credit.
What's your constituency?
Ketu North.
Ketu North. And talking about Ketu North, let me say good morning to Pope. Is it Pope Yawi?
Yeah, Yavu.
Pope Yawu, Secretary of the MPP for the Volta region. Dogby, have a great day as well.
MPP you mentioned?
Yeah. It's my friend.
His friend? That's good.
No, I mean he comes
we're
from
brothers.
He comes from
okay.
We're brothers.
That's good.
Pope.
That's good.
Yawu. Good morning. Yavu means white man.
Yes.
And then, of course, I have Benjamin.
And Pope is assuring him he's going to take the seat.
Oh, no,
that's what Pope is saying.
No problem.
He respects that.
That can never happen.
We're all here.
Yeah, that can never happen.
And then I have the former chair of the People's National Convention, astute political party, Casfodian, a political party of Dr. Hilal Iman, one-time president of our republic, astute politician, late of course. And then Nernard MOrnah is also joining the leadership of Arise Ghana, if not one of the conveners, for the demonstration with the objective to compel the governor of the Bank of Ghana to resign. Is it to resign?
Yes, of course.
Not to do about nothing.
Good morning. You have an event as well.
Yeah, the Dagaba Frafra annual games will be taking place at the Elwak Sports Stadium this Saturday. And I've just admonished that you should...
Elwak Sports Stadium.
Elwak Sports Stadium.
Fantastic, I'll be there.
Those of you who are close to the Frafras, just make sure that you tell them not to steal the God this time. You see the God is there carrying the trophy.
The God is there.
The God.
Oh, this is a nice fork you.
No, it's God. You know,
you cannot eat this one.
We turn it around. So normally when we finish, you see that they'll find a way to smuggle it.
Yeah.
And then I'm just warning them that this time round, from the Bongo Naba to the Talinsi Naba.
Yeah. But why is the dog on the flyer?
It's the most important trophy. It is the symbol of the friendship between the Dagaba and the Frafres.
Is it the same as Bonaboto?
No, Bonaboto is limited to the Upper East region. That is Bolgatanga, Bongo, and then Etongo.
New Boy Jefferson, good morning to you. Mauli Jonathan, thank you for joining us. And I call you people the Chinese of Ghana because the dog, I've eaten dog.
I didn't say dog, I said God. You are the one making it dog.
Chairman.
Okay, so let's do a recall. We were at the committee sitting yesterday, and we bring you a recap of what Bugri Naabu told the committee about that leaked tape. And apparently, he seemed to have made certain revelations. He recorded these conversations himself. But why?
Chief Bugri Naabu appeared before the committee in the company of 2 lawyers. Proceedings started with a playback of the contents of the audio. Chairman of the committee, Samuel Atachia, then questioned Chief Bugri Naabu. He admitted that indeed his voice featured on the tape.
My voice is there. Very good. Very good. Okay. Would you be good enough to tell us the rest of the individuals that you were engaged in that conversation with? Well, one Commander Asari. Okay, please go slowly. Yes. Police commander. Yes. But I don't know which district or which region or which section he command. There was one man also later joined called Commander COP Mensah. Okay. That he's on leave now prior to his retirement. He was also part of it. Yes. So you were only 3. Then later, when the meeting were going on, I didn't see the person. It was on phone. One JP, who is also a police superintendent at the police headquarters, but I haven't seen him. He talked to me on phone, and I listened to him on phone.
He told the committee that the Commissioner of Police in question had contacted him to lobby the president to dismiss the current IGP and make him the IGP.
This one is very difficult, but even what I was even disturbed, when somebody is on retirement, how do you want to come back and be IGP?
He admitted to tasking his assigns to carry out the recording to serve as proof in the event of a meeting with the president regarding the issue.
Since I cannot keep everything they were talking to me at that point, it was very, very good to record them so that I know the president. If I tell him something, he will follow up with the truth. Next time he will not give me respect. You know him and I know him. So the best thing was to ensure that when I tell him, he asked me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Well, this is the tape. I don't want to miss it. You listen to it."
Chairman of the committee later told the media that 3 more persons would appear before the committee at the next sitting.
For now, I think 3 individuals will have to show up on Thursday.
After initial hitches, the special committee set up by the Speaker to inquire into the authenticity of the audio allegedly plotting to oust the IGP held its maiden meeting today. It has adjourned proceedings till next Thursday, where other principal characters allegedly involved in this plot will appear before the committee to give evidence. Reporting for 3 News, my name is Duke Mentopoku.
Now, Mr. George Ayisi, why do you assign as a party your former chair to be recording individuals who are hatching plots to make the IGP go away, the current one, and then you have a new one who seem to be having an intent to make the MPP win the 2024 elections? Why do you do that?
You've got him. You've given
I've
me.
distorted.
Yes.
Please settle, because this matter is a very
Anyway,
serious matter.
yes. Thank you, Roland. Good morning to you. Good morning to my colleagues, your production crew, and our viewers. Let me say thank you to all our people who like us when we go. I had the privilege of traveling across the whole country. Just last Monday we got back and we met people who were so appreciative of the works we are doing. In Nalerugu, there's a young guy who has a sports there. I was trying to get the name, Sharp or something, but he is an avid watcher or viewer of this program. Good morning to you. And the people of Bunkurugu, Akachi, and Damongo, all of you. The military officer in Tamale, thank you for all the nice words. One, I disagree with you, Raymond, on the premise you laid.
It's a question.
Yes, that's why I said I disagree with the
my
premise.
question.
The premise, because it is not a conscious, deliberate effort by the MPP to record people who come and then with the intention of kicking out a certain IGP and then bring in another one that we think will be a hatchet man to do our bidding. We disagree. If that were the case, I doubt if the former chairman, Bugri Naabu, who himself would have recorded this engagement with the police officers. And let's have a premise. The premise is that the Bugri Naabu, this is not the first time he's having recordings of that nature. You remember once upon a time he was accused of taking a car,
The Mitsubishi Pajero.
Yes.
He claimed that John Dramani Mahama gave it to him.
Yes, and he had evidence to put out there. And so based on that, he said when they told him the reason they wanted to see him, he decided, wait a minute, I need to have hard.
I got the information and
evidence.
that it was not true.
That's what he said wasn't true.
That Pajero Mitsubishi thing was
but
all
he came
part
out
of
with
the
a lot. He came out with a lot of evidence. He came out with a lot
what was
of
the
evidence.
evidence on that?
Audio recordings and all that. He put them out there. You get it. So that's a different ball game. And so let's come to this matter proper. And to be honest with you, when I first listened to the tape, I gleaned the one who recorded would be him. Yes, it will be him.
He confirmed that he recorded.
No, at that time, when the guys were
let's
speaking.
talk on this matter, please.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No, not that one. I'm talking of this. At the time the audio came out, I suspected he was the one who recorded it or knew who was recording. You get it? Because sometimes they pose a question, then we say, but his response were not that deep. You get it? And so it's like he knew he was trying to elicit more of the talk from the other people who had come to him. He was protecting himself maybe and possibly protecting his party because it isn't the mission of the party to engage in such acts. We in government appointed the man in the first place, Dr. Ekufu Dampari. Everybody thought he was, this was his time. He was a man that was discharging his duties as a police officer with finesse and going by the rules of engagement. And so it was proper. Any forward-looking precedent wouldn't sidestep him to choose any other person at this time. And so the president settled on him to the excitement and admiration of all, especially people in the media. And so, and he's so far acquitted himself very well. So, Roland, that is one bit of it. But some people, I said it was a gossip one, and people were bad-mouthing the sitting IGP to push themselves up.
You
some
think that's
people,
what it was?
Yes, that's
Did you
what
listen to the
clearly.
audio?
Yes, I listened. That was my comment at the beginning before this committee. Let me doff my hat for the Speaker of Parliament for deciding to set up this committee. My good friend Agalga is in there, and then Lanchene, the police officer, Lanchene Tobo, and then of course the brilliant lawyer Atachia heading the team. I'm very hopeful they will do the right thing. So far, the revelations of Bugri Naabu is giving us that, one, it isn't the objective of the MPP to get the IGP out. It's some excited, ambitious people who thought they could badmouth the IGP and get the buy-in of a former chairman who they think has the ear of the president. And so we'll go and do their bidding for them. Okay, unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way because the chairman thought, no, what you're doing is not right. And he said something on the tape that if he were to go to the president was going to ask him whether what he was saying was true. And if they were not true, it's going to create a problem between him and the president. So he needed something solid and concrete to present to the president. And so that in itself showed that, the president doesn't just depend on hearsay and people's emotions to take a decision.
Is it not worrying that we have an impending election? Indeed, at the time that the recording was made, we're exactly a year and a half to the next election. There is a tense atmosphere in the country currently, where the government, based on the president's own admissions, of course, he's looking for another person to carry us from where we are currently, based on what he said over the weekend, to the next level, out of these difficulties. The government is going to look back in the next election, and rather it is planted senior officers within the police hierarchy who are going to help the governing party to win election. Is it not frightening for you?
No, it's not true. It's not true. Based on what is happening, it's not true. That's why I told you some people are ambitious and are ready to get to the top no matter what by ditching others. And that was exactly what they were doing. That is not a deliberate policy decision of the New Patriotic Party, sanctioned by the General Secretary, lawyer Justin Kodia, or the chairman, Stephen Ayensun team, to pursue this trajectory. No. As individuals who, even as of now, they claim they are MPP, the officers claim they are MPP, but there's nothing. Maybe at the end of these committee sittings, we will know whether they actually card-bearing members of the MPP or the affiliates or sympathizers of the MPP. Okay?
Are you saying if a police officer, a senior one at that, claims that he's MPP, he needs to have a card before there is some level of association?
What makes you a member of the MPP? You must be a card-bearing member. That's what. We have affiliates, people who are sympathizers and co. But they said they were MPP. They told Bugri Naabu that.
Then is it possible that we have some members of the Ghana Police Service who are card-bearing members of the MPP?
I don't know, but I think it is possible. Look, I've been in barracks, but I told you there were CDRs in the Ghana Police and Ghana Army. Ask anybody. CDRs were formed there. In the Ghana Police, you see, that time I was a young boy. I disagree with that. Why should we have that?
Senior police officers, do you know? Card-bearing members. Can you just have some number? Don't mention.
No. I don't know.
You can say I know about 2 or 3.
I don't know Zolts. So that is it. I don't know any card-bearing officer of the police and co. But let me be honest with you. I've met young officers who have told me, we're with you. You get it. I've met young officers who have come to me and said, we are with you. Okay, and so...
Well, it doesn't make them members of the party.
Yes, that ones we hear a lot of times. So my satisfaction in all these, though the whole process was wrong, people do that, Roland. People do that. They go to badmouth people. The unfortunate part is, Roland, the superior officers who they go to and badmouth you to them. They will not call you to ask you whether those things are true or not. Okay? They may ignore that, or they may take decisions based on what they have heard. Okay? Fortunately for us, Bugri Naabu didn't go on that trajectory. Maybe because what he said was that when he asked them to join him to go and see the president, they didn't come. One said he had traveled, he should go with the superintendent, and the superintendent also turned out saying he was in Koforidua and wasn't around, okay? He got angry with that. So whatever motivated him to put the tape in the public domain, maybe as the interrogation goes on, we'll get to know. But whatever it is, I'm taking solace in the fact that it isn't the MPP that is taking any step. It is ambitious individuals within the police force who think, service, who think they must rise to the top to become IGP, and the only way they can get there is to badmouth the current IGP and get that, push from political figures who can convince the president that they are the right people. And they are using the issue of MPP winning as an alibi. Okay, that is what can magnetize the party to the chairman, Bugri Naabu, to then acquiesce to what they are putting forward and then push for their amnesty. That is unfortunate. I'm happy that Bugri Naabu saw through that and decided to do what he did. It's saving him, it's saving the MPP, and MPP will never do anything like that. We're going into the election on our own merits. And we are determined to do everything within the law to win the 2024 election. We are not, breaking the eight is not just a slogan. Okay.
Not taking police officers to the hierarchy where they
what would they do? What would they do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Look, Kudalo was IGP in this country. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama lost the 2016 election. Okay, Patrick Kwatinye Champon was IGP. Appointed by us. We lost the 2008 elections. Okay, you remember Esiedue Krofi charge? They were all there. Okay, you're in power. What would they do? The decision to win power rests with the electorates, the grassroots people, the ordinary people who have one man, one vote, universal adult suffrage. That is what is going to determine who becomes the president in the 2024 election, not even Jane Mensah, lawyer, who can say this party A or otherwise. Charlotte Osei would have determined the fate of the elections in 2016, but she couldn't do anything. Okay, it's the people's decision that will decide who forms the next government. So police machinations and individual ambitious inclinations shouldn't distract our attention and focus.
Now let's take you through the terms of reference of this committee before I get to Edem Agbanah. There's every indication in there based on the terms of reference that the committee is to authenticate this audio recording, also investigate the conspiracy to remove the current Inspector General of Police. All right. Now, investigate any other matter contained in the audio recording, recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate, make recommendations for reforms where necessary, make such other recommendations and consequential orders as the committee may deem appropriate. So there we have 3 members, composition, etc., and we all know that. But Edem, yesterday I monitored the proceedings. Overnight, I listened again, and at some point in the inquisition, he said he was worried, and so he did the recording sent to the president. And then in the narration, it was said that the current IGP will not help the MPP win an election. Of course, it was 2024. Then he, in one of the responses, also said, well, he was even surprised and also not enthused that in a sin of what they said manifested. Shouldn't we be worried?
Roland, good morning to you and to our cherished viewers. Let me also say good morning to Ghana's hope, the incoming president of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, a man who, by his works and leadership, has demonstrated clearly that he is a nation builder, the man who is an epitome of hope, and he reflects the hopes and aspirations of the good people of Ghana. I want to say a very good morning to him and to his team and everyone watching us. Let me also say good morning to the good people of Ketu North, a constituency that is so dear to my heart, a constituency that I hope to lead in 2025 as Member of Parliament and represent their interests in Parliament. Roland, I listened to Bugri Naabu's tape over and over again. And I also yesterday monitored parts of his appearance before the Committee of Parliament and all the things that he said. Let me first appreciate the Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Edem Agbanah, for agreeing to set up this committee, bipartisan committee, to probe the audio, the leaked audio. In the past, we have had many such audios out, but Parliament failed to take steps on it. But knowing the Speaker as a true Democrat, he decided to show good leadership by setting up this bipartisan committee. My appeal is that this committee will not just be one of those committees that would work and will see their work, but recommendations are never implemented. I hope that they really find out or meet all the terms of reference as you have read out. One I can say has been established already, so Speaker must be commended. And Bugri Naabu yesterday gave out a lot of information. But first, let it be on record that he appeared before the committee with his lawyers.
Yes.
He swore an oath that everything, and at a point he even said as a chief, he couldn't lie because when you lie as a chief, you die. These are his own words. And so everything he said yesterday,
He said on oath.
He said on oath. Now, he said yesterday that he recorded the audio or the tape. He also said that everything on that tape is valid.
Sure.
Now, let's get back to the tape and ask, what are the things on the tape that we must be worried about? There are many. If you listen to the entire tape, it's about what I have access to. It's about 55 minutes.
Yeah.
Many other things have been said. Some not really related to even the IGP's continuous stay in office or the plots to remove him and all of that. But he said key things. For example, are you aware that on the tape, at a point, Bugri Naabu alluded to the fact that to see the big man, and by the big man, he was referring to the president. And so, to see the big man, you only have to prepare some package to see the big man. And by package, we're talking about an envelope, money. All these are contained in the original tape.
Well, before the committee, he said he was leading them on.
No, you see, Roland, he said that everything on the tape is valid. And so I am going strictly by what he said and the oath that he took. Now, in that tape, the gentleman said in the original tape that to see the big man, to see President Akufo-Addo, you need to prepare some package, some envelope, some money. And he even said that some monies have already been given to the president. Let's establish that that was on the original tape. And I am worried about that. You know why?
Why?
This is about the second or third time that I can recall that on tape, people very close to the president have spoken publicly or privately about the president's obsession with taking envelopes. Let me put it that way. You remember?
What do you mean by
No,
that?
what do I mean? Remember analysis number 12, where when our big brother Kwesi Nyantechi, who we know was very, very close to President Akufo-Addo, in his engagement with the supposed investors, even put a price tag on our president, how much you needed to see the president. Again, the MPP presidential candidate hopeful, the Honorable Kennedy Japan, on tape, told all of us that to see President Akufo-Addo, one needed to raise $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to be able to have access to President Akufo-Addo. Let's assume that is just the second
You're
time.
talking in relation to the Deputy Chief of Staff's that issue.
Exactly. Then again, Bugri Naabu, who seems to have unfettered access to President Akufo-Addo on tape, also told these police officers that you are lobbying to become IGP. These are the steps that we ought to take. And one of them is that let's prepare some package for the president. I am worried that my president is seen or seems to be so obsessed with taking brown envelopes.
No, but that's from a third
No,
party.
it is not about a third party. I am saying that, Roland, both of us have established that a gentleman said he recorded the audio.
And he was leading them on.
You see, that is not for you and I to determine. He said everything on the tape is valid. So after telling us everything on the tape is valid, he cannot now, with an afterthought, decide which part of the tape is leading somebody on. For him to say these things about the president makes me worried. And I'm worried that all of us, many of you in the media, are not focusing on that aspect of the tape because it speaks to the corrupt nature of our president. And I am worried as a Ghanaian.
How is that?
Because this is the same president. Prior to election 2020, we saw some videos of how some envelopes exchange hands and all of
Prior
that.
to 2016.
No, you see,
that matter has come here before.
And all I want us to establish, and I have given you other examples, that it seems our president is so obsessed with taking envelopes.
That's
Let me put it that way.
Your conjecture.
You see, and I have given you instances. People very close to him. People who have unfettered access to him. The police officers approach Bugri Naabu because they know for a fact his closeness to President Akufo-Addo. And so, if the crocodile, I don't know how to properly put this adage, maybe my senior comrade would tell me, but if the crocodile comes out of the water to tell you that the frog is dead, is that not how to say it?
Yeah.
Who are you? We are not in the water. So Bugri Naabu is so close to President Akufo-Addo. And so whether he was leading them or not, for him to paint that picture, that with some amount of money, you can have access to the president and buy the president's audience on such an issue is very key, and we need to take note of it. Number two, Bugri Naabu on tape, or yesterday, before the committee, under oath, told the committee that the only person he shared the audio with was the president. That the only person he shared the audio with. That's what he said. That he recorded the audio, the tape, and handed it over to the president. Now, questions about how the tape leaked, we must be able to investigate, because as the president, he receives national security briefings, I'm told, on daily basis. There are many other key information that are presented to the president. So how this tape leaks from the president's office, because Bugri Naabu claims that he's the only one he shared the tape with, is also a matter that we must be very interested in. Now, coming back to the whole issue of the police and even the
senior officer.
The senior officer. Roland, I have always had a problem with how our institutions are managed in this country. Because to build a strong democracy, we should be interested in building strong institutions. And over time, we have seen that no matter how fine, no matter how competent one is, usually when they get appointed to head institutions like the police and what have you, they become very, they allow themselves to be manipulated by the appointing authority. I have had cause to complain about many actions of the current IGP. There are many instances where I feel he was not fair to the NDC or opposition parties. But before Assin North, and this audio was recorded 10 days before the Assin North elections, the senior officer, according to Bugri Naabu, admitted and touted his membership of the NPP. The reason for which he believed that he merited the appointment of IGP because he thought that that institution, the police, should help the government entrench power. And so, because they suspect that IGP Dampari may not do the bidding of the NPP, that is why all those conversations about having him removed and all of those things was taking place. That is key. That, for me, confirms that in 2020, the role that the police service played in ensuring that elections were rigged in favor of the incumbent NPP administration. You recall all the issues that we raised, from how the police failed to provide protection to members of the NPP, of the NDC, and agents of the NDC, from how the police raided some polling stations. The Chiman South is an example, and many others. We wrote a petition as a political party to the IGPs. We wrote a petition to other stakeholders. As we speak today, the 8 people who lost their lives in the 2020 elections, are you aware that no action has been taken, no punitive measures have been meted out to anyone?
There's even a petition before Shraj by Okujeto Ablako.
And there is nothing being done about it. And so it gives me cause to worry that the NPP believes so much in manipulating an institution that ought to be independent. I am not here to speak for Dampari and as to whether he is competent or truly independent. But I just want to say that the conversation took place because, like Bugri Naabu said, he was worried that the IGP may not be working in their favor. Meaning, at the time the appointment was handed over to him, silently one of his terms of reference may have been to ensure or do everything possible to ensure that the NPP wins election 2024. For which I'm not speculating. No. So why would he be worried? Why would Bugri Naabu be worried that they claim the IGP may not work in your favor for you to win an election?
Bad math.
It cannot be bad math. I'm saying he was worried, and for which reason he even secured an appointment to see the president. It is not easy to secure.
He even stated that he was even surprised of the outcome of Yasin North because
exactly,
they kind of corroborated what they intended.
You see, because they expected that regardless of how the people of Yasin North voted, the police would have aided them to perpetrate violence and have the elections rigged in favor of the NPP. But you got away with it in 2020. It will happen again in 2024. But Roland, key is that I am worried about how the president is seen as someone who is so obsessed with taking envelopes. That aspect of the tape must also equally be investigated.
But that's a third party saying that.
But he said everything on the... But you see...
Because the president has not...
But this whole discussion is not about a third party conversation. Yeah. So,
because the president has not been seen taking any money from anybody.
The president
and so we are all speculating.
In the front page.
And I'm saying that he's
trying hard to link the president.
Roland, no one is trying hard to link. His close ally, his friend, Bugri Naabu, who has unfettered access to him, who was able to secure appointments, sent him the tape and all of that, who was trusted enough to become the conveyor belt for the message to get Dampari out to the president. When he tells you that he has advanced some payment or some money to the president and that to see him again, let's go with some package, and you want us to doubt that aspect of the audio. Please. That's what he said. It's on tape.
Now, Mr. MOrnah, what's very surprising or shocking about this for you? And then also, based on your observations, the posture of Bugri Naabu yesterday before the committee.
Good morning to you, to Ayisi, and of course to Edem.
Good morning, Chairman.
And to your many viewers. Let me, if you permit me, to take off my hat for Bugri Naabu's presentation yesterday. I sincerely believe that he put himself as a true Northerner, that he had to speak the truth, no matter the consequences. And in speaking the truth, he knew that they may have ramifications for his person and for his political party. But he had to, because also not just an ordinary Northerner, but a chief. You owe an obligation to speak the truth so that your chiefdom can be respected. And for that matter, I took my hat for him. Let me also state that I don't agree with the content of the audio or the tape that was made. I think that that content was very distasteful. It is not healthy for our democracy, and it is important that we must state that. That somehow, within an institution, people who are working so as to see the flourishing of the Ghana Police Service are themselves introducing political control over the same institution.
Politicization.
Yes. Because over the years, we have been complaining that politicians influence the many decisions that take place within the various security agencies. Now it is clear that it is not the politicians, but most often the decision is from the inside and then given to the politician to act. I pray the committee's work is done successfully. The committee was to establish the authenticity of the audio. And Bugri Naabu confirmed that. I think that one aspect of their mandate has been established. That the audio was recorded, the voices on the tape are not fake, they are not doctored, and that they are true. That is one of the mandates that the Speaker of Parliament requested the committee to go out there to go and search.
I need to listen to the other side, Chairman.
Please, the one who recorded the audio. What he's saying, the one who recorded the audio. Please don't be distracted.
No, I cannot. I never will be distracted. So, obviously, the principal actor in the tape is the one that says that this is what happened. And he did it on purpose. Because what they are telling me, it was not the first time they were meeting. After the first meeting, he thought that, no, what evidence am I going to give to the president? And should the president not believe me, because people can go and say, I didn't say those things, the president will not respect him any longer. And so he decided to ask his people to set up the gadget so he could record, so that when he's talking to the president, he hands over to the president and said, this is evidence. And he did. IGP Dampare is in big trouble.
Why?
The ants are within his dress, biting him. The police service doesn't like him. His own officers are there cutting him so that they can remove him. What is his crime? That he wants to introduce professionalism into the Ghana Police Service. If you didn't even like Dampare, by what is happening now, you have caught sympathy for him. Because the MPP themselves want somebody that should be just. And I remember when President Akufo-Addo was to outdoor the IGP, he said that go and do your job as a police officer. Don't come and take instructions from above. And that is precisely probably what he's doing. Kumau by-elections, we saw the IGP move in full scale. And it was done. Why did you think that there must be a deliberate attempt not to ensure that Asenov was done in similar fashion? And you know George Mensah, you know him. He used to be the Greater Accra Police Commander, and I think was moved to the Upper East. He was the regional commander. When I was doing the Togo rally, that he sent his men, including Kwesi Fori, to come and put a gun on my head and put me at the bucket of a pickup like a cow taken to the slaughterhouse. So it's evident that these policemen are not working within law, but within the party that they belong to. Very disappointing. And I side with Edem. Now, Mr. President, watch your taking of brown envelopes. Because all the people around you know that, Mr. President, you are too close to money. Anytime when you see money, your fingers begin to itch. People have you in their pockets.
Say that again.
Anytime President Akufo-Addo sees money, his fingers...
And how do you draw that conclusion, Mr. Nernard MOrnah?
Oh. Do you know those who have President Akufo-Addo in his pockets?
No, if you're talking about the instances where we had Deputy Chief of Staff...
Do you know those?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So you're drawing inferences from those ones?
Yes, keep mentioning.
And then Bugri Naabu...
Yes.
So,
then 2016, when money was given to him and he was taking it with excitement.
It's not money, there was an envelope. We can't conclude that.
Oh, the content was just said. You didn't know that it was $44,000. So this thing around the leader is not healthy. For the first time in our history, the presidency has been part of the corruption index under your presidency. All the time we take institutions, excluding the presidency. But this time the presidency is stopping. You know, so I think that yesterday Bugri Naabu did the what any Northerner, that is a true Northerner, would have done. Speak the truth, suffer the consequences. And I think that he did that. I also believe that in doing so, he himself got to a point and he was surprised that somebody who was going on retirement still wanted to come back as IGP. There are 7 officers, and you wanted to come back. And George, in that tape, said that, well, if they don't even want to give him, they can look for somebody, but not Dampare. Let those who have that mentality, that the police can doctor and alter elections and their outcome in this country, know that they have gotten it wrong. It will not work.
Right.
Citizens will rise up, they will challenge them, and no amount of tanks on bombardiers can stop a determined people from achieving what they want to achieve.
Mr. George Ayisi, if you see what transpired in just the small election over the weekend, the super, is it super or special?
Yeah.
Which one?
Special delegates.
Okay.
Special.
So the super delegates or special delegates election.
You were there live.
Yeah, I was there.
I was watching you.
And then the concerns raised by key individuals like Kennedy Japan. You know, he was here in the studio as well.
Yeah.
And we're very close to his team as well, etc.
He's a friend of mine.
He's even a friend of yours.
And you don't support him.
If critics
friend.
and independent observers draw the conclusion that there are efforts by the ruling party and its government in power to influence and then create machinations to be able to retain or break the 8 for 2024, are they wrong?
Very wrong.
And why would they be wrong?
Very wrong. That's what I said from the get-go.
You haven't said it, sir.
No, I said from the get-go that they were bad-mouthing in order to bring down somebody and lift themselves.
Because it
That
puts
was
the
what they were
credibility about how free and fair 2024 elections would be.
It doesn't. It doesn't. One, are they the ones conducting the elections? Are they the ones who determine who votes for which party? Okay, people are having their own say and imaginations and thinking that things should be this way. But that is not what it's going to be. The people will determine the way it's going to go. And so what these things that people are saying and COP, George Mensah, Asari, and the superintendent of police doing whatever they were doing. You know that Bugri Naabu again said that after this thing, he called one of them, and the guy told him he would deal with him. You remember that? That was there. And again, on records, Bugri Naabu said he gave the thing to the tape to the president after it had leaked. You get it? It was after the leaking before he sent it to the president. So
But he said he
that is on record.
recorded the tape
no, we
to
all
go
admit
and
that.
give to the president.
Yes,
So
yes, but he
is it
gave
not
it to
imagine-
him after the leaking. You get it? He got it to him. It's there. Good morning to security expert Dr. Edem Agbanah. You're watching this program. So that is these things are facts on record. So let's put it there. Two, my brother Edem seeks to say that the president is corrupt and all that. I'm yet to see any international or local newspaper splash on their front page the corrupt president Nana Danko Akufo-Addo. I've seen that on the Sun newspaper of London, okay, of President John Mahama on the front about Amajaro and other corrupt dealings. I've seen Fort Saga embroiling the president of the land, okay, Amajaro things. So please, your candidate, if you're talking corruption, and I disagree with Chairman MOrnah, that's not the first time that they're talking, rating the presidency as corrupt. It's there. Go and check the Corruption Perception Index. It's unfortunate, okay? I am one of those who disagree.
Have you checked the Afrobarometer
Matters
report?
of corruption.
It's the trust for the presidency.
Yes, yes. And it's been...
And he's not wrong in alluding to that, to be
saying the first time. He's saying it's the first time. And I disagree with that because it's been there. You get it. And the police and then the presidency comes under President John Dramani Mahama. You can Google that. Okay? Fortunately, Google search engine is available to all of us to do that. And so please, let's stop these things about... Look, people go... Let me tell you something. A classmate of myself and my wife, okay? You know, on Facebook, somebody came pretending to be my wife and said was going to help them and all that. And you know, she had my number. She has her husband, had my number, had my wife's number, never called us. When they demanded for money, she paid that they were going to help her get. So after that, she realized she had been duped. Then she called me that we should do everything to get the money for her because they used our name. I said, how? You had our numbers. You never called us when they were making the advances. Now that you've been duped, you're calling me and my wife that we should get
so
you your car.
So you're saying all the cases that we've had...
No, yes. Yeah. People may be using other people's name. You get it. Some people take photo sessions to do their things. You get it? Without you knowing. So please, these things happen, Edem. Don't conclude that. Yeah, don't conclude that because somebody is saying somebody is in his pocket.
Did you watch the Gold Mafia documentary?
Did
you watch the Gold Mafia documentary?
Yes, I watched it. So what about that? The president protested.
Did you avert your mind to the letter that was requesting an apology from Al Jazeera?
Yes.
For which Al Jazeera also based on...
They said they are not going to render apology.
And we also did write
to
Al Jazeera. Johnny Hughes led that.
Yes.
And Al Jazeera did say what they have is authentic. And the president has not sued them in any way.
No, the president says he's going to go through, he will take his next step.
For how many months?
So he will take, don't worry, he's a lawyer. We've been
in
the legal... Yes, people make allegations.
So if people make such allusions for which we have assigns around the president and the presidency, who draw conclusions that they can get people directly to communicate, deal with the president, and there needs to be a certain medium of exchange of value, that those conclusions will be drawn, that the president...
I disagree. I disagree. People can make their own allusions. Some people may go take things and it will never reach the president. But they're using his name.
You agree that...
What happened in number 12? Yes, somebody says somebody is in his pocket.
Yes. I've even referred to the recent...
No, the presidency has disagreed and written to that effect. The executive secretary to the president. Executive secretary and TV3 is written.
To manipulate 2024.
So let's get it. And no, that manipulation, we said there's nothing. He said we rigged the 2020 elections. They went to court. Zilch evidence. Nothing. Okay, I was with one of the Greater Accra Regional Secretary, Tete, one of the people I love in the NDC. And he said he brought documents, EC pink sheet, to the studio with me. That those figures were the right figures and that what EC was churning out on their website wasn't the right. So when they went to court, I was expecting them to send that document. They never took it there. Okay? So they were just saying it. Okay? We later heard the former president saying they had to do something to sow up the ego of the followers of the NDC and all that. Okay? So it was much ado about nothing. So Roland, this tape matter. The presidency, Bugri Naabu, said, he recorded it himself. He's done what he wanted to do with it. the thing leaked. Whoever leaked it, I think he's here to say that and let's know. I'm happy the Speaker is constituted this committee to look into the matter. That's good. Let's see how it goes. We are yet to understand on Thursday 2 of the or 3 of the remaining people whose voices and names were mentioned are going to be there. And then we see another last one. My brother Edem said, Bugri Naabu said, everything on the tape is valid. Yes, because they were said. Okay? It happened in his office. The people said so. It doesn't mean they were.
He has admitted that.
Truth. Yes, what they said couldn't have been, may not be the truth, but they were said. That is what it means, but it's valid. Everything said on the tape is valid. Doesn't mean they are the truth. So that is how come the committee is there. They will interrogate further to see whether some of the things they said are the truth or not. That is what the committee is called to do, and they're going to do that for all of us, okay? Everything said on the tape is valid because it's true and authentic. A tape did happen. He recorded it in his office. Okay, so that is, but it doesn't mean everything said in there was the truth. And if the MPP were planning any such thing, you think a former MPP chairman will record and leak it out?
So he was sending it to the president. Nobody has said he leaked it out. Sending it to the president.
Why would he record it? For what?
But
he's an alibi. He's the conduit through which evil is going to be perpetrated. And yet he records it for what? And he buys into what they are doing. He's an alibi. Okay? So why would he even record it in the first place? Because he's a partner to the thing and he supports the perpetration of that. The MPP is not going to do anything like that. We are a solid party. We'll beat them on our records.
Does it call into question your
solid,
trust for how free and fair 2024 will be?
Yes, we have said that all the institutions, the Electoral Commission, the police, all the other stakeholders must just ensure that we have a free and fair, transparent election. And that's all we need for John Dramani Mahama to emerge victorious. But coming back, let me rebut a few of the things that he said. The last point he was trying to make about if Bugri Naabu was part of the scheme, he wouldn't have recorded. What he forgets is the fact, or he may not be aware, that the initial reaction of Bugri Naabu when the audio or the tape was out, was leaked, he granted an interview to Oyaripa Parker. He denied. Until he denied when he was first called that there is a tape where he was part of a scheme to do. He denied until the tape was played and he realized that he was in a tight corner. He couldn't deny. And you are claiming that it was deliberate for him to record because he wasn't part of it. Please. Again, talking about corruption, I'm happy you brought the issue of the gold mafia documentary. You are claiming that President Mahama appeared on the front page of an international newspaper. I have here a copy of that paper. It's the Sun newspaper. They were talking about a scandal that happened in Ghana. And they put about 4 or 5 different pictures on the front page, including the picture of President Mahama. And that is a Airbus scandal. But that particular scandal, the special prosecutor investigated, that is under you. That special prosecutor was appointed. It's a creation of the Akufo-Addo government. You have investigated that matter. The aspects that ought to be sent to court have been sent to court. And President Mahama has not been found guilty. And so it is ridiculous to still hang on to an allegation, because it is easy for any newspaper that when there's an allegation against Roland or Nernard MOrnah to have them on the front page of a newspaper, but that doesn't make it sacrosanct. It doesn't make it the truth. After that publication, investigations have been conducted and President Mahama has been exonerated. And then you are here, you're still making reference to the allegation.
I think George's point is that if you cite
but you are talking about international. No,
he's also, by
but in this case,
replication, justified in citing.
You see, but the examples that I have given you are very concrete examples. You mentioned that of the gold mafia. Internationally, Al Jazeera exposed our president in a money laundering scheme. When you wrote that letter, you thought that Al Jazeera was one of those feeble media houses that you could intimidate. They wrote back to you that they were not going to apologize. Since May, what has the presidency done about it? Because you are guilty. If you take it further, you will be exposed more. Because you threatened that apologize or I take you on. It's been several months. The people say we're not going to apologize. How long will it take you for you to react? It is because President Akufo-Addo,
based on our personal interaction,
because President Akufo-Addo is fingered in it, and that is a fact. Again, here is a president who, for the first time in the history of this country, one needed to pay 100,000 to have access to him and sit by him at a presidential dinner. You are not aware of that?
Your leadership led that arrangement.
Which arrangement? Which leadership?
People were NDC guys.
Please.
Cash for seats.
Who are the NDC guys in it? No, you can't just make an formal allegation. So the point is that President Akufo-Addo on record, even to sit by him, the president we queued to vote for, the president who was playing card in the local dialect, we call it SIPA, with the boys, the president who was in the gutters campaigning, the president who was eating ampesi with the locals to show how humble he was before presidency. After assuming the presidency, you needed to pay 100,000 Ghana cedis to sit with him at a table for dinner. And you want to compare such a president whose, presidency has been surrounded with all controversies and scandals of collecting envelope, and you want to compare him to President Mahama. President Mahama has been out of office. President Mahama has been out of office for 7 good years. All the dent, all the murder you threw at him, posterity keeps making him even look. No, his integrity is still unmatched because you have been there for 7 years. You have not been able to substantiate any of the allegations and the lies that you've told about him. And posterity keeps exposing you. Back to the issue of trust. I think that we must have an agreement as a people that to protect this democracy, all the institutions that will play a role, and I'm surprised that George doesn't think the police has a role to play in rigging elections. Maybe. They cannot. Your knowledge in elections and elections management may be limited. But the police plays a very critical role in elections. I'm telling you, the police plays a major role in elections. And in 2020, we saw what the police did and how they influenced the elections in some of the centers. And so it's not about whether the police are the only ones voting or what have you, and they don't count. The police plays a major role. So the police has a particular role to play, apart from election security. Apart from election security, in the last election. Yes, people were intimidated. When there were shootouts, people felt that they could not. You see, there were various schemes that the police can engage in to prevent people from even voting. So all these institutions of states must come to an agreement that we need to protect our democracy. President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia cannot be allowed to manipulate these institutions to their advantage. For us as the NDC, we are preparing for elections 2024. And I can assure you that we've learned key lessons from what happened to us in 2020. Everything we are going to do legally to ensure that victory belongs to us, because we protect that victory, we will do. And we will not allow you to appoint your errand boys as police officers who will manage the process and would want to rig it in your favor. Whether Bugri Naabu was worried or not, whether the president is worried or not, we will ensure that the integrity of the elections is protected in 2024.
When the secretary to the IGP resigned, he is in parliament on which party's ticket?
He resigned and went to contest. What is wrong with that?
Please.
How does that even relate? No, George, how does that relate? How does that relate to this matter?
As we conclude on this matter,
how does that relate to this matter?
How do we ensure that this audio that has come out does not then create that level of insecurity, and then that sense that 2024 will go in and there's going to be a lack of trust, especially within the apparatus that we have?
Well, let me state ab initio that no police can stop a determined people from achieving what they want to achieve. Whether they come with bombardiers, they come with guns or bombs. The citizens will go out there to vote. And they will stay to police the ballot.
2000, the year 2000.
At the end of the day, the EC would declare the votes at the various polling stations. We would tally our own votes and do comparison with the EC's tally. In the end, we will be able to determine whether we have won or we have lost. Where we have lost genuinely, because that is what the citizens voted for, there is nothing that we can do. And of course, where we have won, and there is some machinations, whether from the security agencies or from the electoral office, this nation will see the worst because citizens will not tolerate it. And so I think most importantly, at the end of these investigations, if it is established, and I hope that that said Commander Asare is still in service, there should be sanctions imposed on such persons and characters who are actually parasites to their own institutions and seeking to infiltrate the institution with partisanship. I cannot take away the fact that somebody may be politically or ideologically aligned, but in executing your job as a professional, you have to distinguish from your ideological stance and your professional stance. When I have to give speeches in many places, and it has nothing to do with my politics, but has to do with the profession that I have chosen, I do it to the best of my professional standards. So when you are entrusted with responsibility, don't go there and be exhibiting partisanship. It's sickening and it's tiring. You know what? Most of our institutions are now occupied by partisan lots. Partisan lots. You must be MPP to get appointment.
It's not true. Under us.
You must be MPP to be promoted. They write GES exam, promotion exams.
Huh.
I'm not asking you.
I don't understand. You're saying...
You know they write these promotion
But I know somebody who doesn't belong to any political party.
Can I? You don't know what they had to go through. Probably they met Ayisi. And Ayisi had to do influence.
I don't take the fact that there's political influence.
I am telling you, you can take this to the teachers, and they will tell you.
Even postings at customs.
How these things are done.
And how do they do that?
And that is why somebody like Kwabena Agyapong said that, look, we have bastardized our institutions,
Yes.
and it is time to introduce the integrity that our institutions used to have. I went to secondary school, ordinary level, lower secondary, advanced level, Tamale secondary. I went to the university without knowing anybody.
Yeah, a lot of people do so now.
Without knowing anybody. Today, somebody comes to tell you that, look, I want to join the police cells. And you see the person's qualification and say, this one, you can't get it. And they tell you that, no, if I pay this amount of money, I will get it. And you sit down and say, it's not possible. The next time the person comes out with an enlistment letter, and you ask, they said, why, we went and paid. You go to the army, and it is done. You go to almost every institution, and people are paying.
Take it to the military command.
They are paying. Why? So when people can pay and get secured,
So you're saying we should be worried about that?
we should be worried. Okay. And so when such persons come out, you can see that, look, they don't believe that Dampare would have gotten his job by qualification. You understand? And that at the end of the day, probably Dampare paid his way, and that is why they were also lobbying Bugri Naabu so that they can pay their way to unseat Dampare. That is what they were doing.
Cannot be true.
They were bad mouthing. That's all.
Dampare is not part of it.
Asari was bad mouthing.
They bad mouthing.
George, who made the police to come and put gun on my head, is bad mouthing.
He was a commander then. He decided to do that.